Health promotion here with our Healthy Lifestyle series, Class 3 on Sleep Stress for Optimization. So, how many out there just don't get good sleep? So, we look at about 50% of Americans are sleep deprived, not getting good sleep quality, the density of sleep, not getting the appropriate number of hours of sleep, have trouble falling asleep. And what we know is that stress has a huge impact on getting sleep. So as we unravel and talk about all the different things we can do to improve our sleep quality, we also want to think about the stress in our life as well too. So way back before the man made lights of the light bulb, we actually had sunrise and sunset, which really set our circadian rhythm to actually fall asleep. And we slept 10 hours, a 20% reduction in sleep over the last 100 years. But right now, with our busy lifestyle, we put sleep on the back burner and we kind of focus on other tasks that we need to get done, deemed more important without prioritizing our sleep. We see these stats with road fatigue and just not getting good quality and quantity hours of sleep. So we can see that light exposure is one of our first things that we want to try to mitigate to try to get good sleep. Within light, we've had attributed factors of our lifestyle, increased hours of shift work, where we're staying up past sunset. We are having demanding longer hours within all the hours of our emergency responders, even within the hours of darkness. We are sitting more, having less physical demanding jobs, and extended sedentary leisure time activities, keeping us up past the hours of sunset. We can look at this within our homes, within our television, within our screen time increased over the years. So we're going to see maybe some correlation with weight increases, with BMIs greater than 30 with obesity in the last 25 years also plays a role with increased energy intake of caloric increase and the increase in physical activity. Recent indication of possible association between short sleep durations and weight increases as well. So you see in this chart here the increase over the years of weight and also with sleep hours declining on average of 6.6 hours by 2015 and overweight status of 26.6 BMI average. What we're looking at here is identifying based on hormones. We'll go back one. Hormones impacting again our appetite. So one of the things when we're up hours of sleep, we see an increase in caloric needs. So we have the hypothalamus regulation of appetite in our brain, and then we have our gut, intestines and stomach, and then the corresponding hormones regulation from gut to brain, and how these can be buffered based on increased fat tissue, those adipose tissue, of insulin sensitivity, and the hormones that are affecting appetite within sleep are going to be leptin levels, which we want to make sure we're having enough leptin. Just think leptin, lovely leptin, and ghrelin, which is like the appetite where we're actually craving more foods. The gremlin on the other side. So with the lack of sleep, we see less leptin and more ghrelin. So we're off balance there with increased food needs and not feeling satiated with hunger hormone. In this study with mice, you can see the increase in leptin when the mice actually get the number of hours sleeps required, getting closer to 9 hours, and the decrease in the ghrelin within less hours of sleep there. So when sleep was less, ghrelin increased, and then when leptin increases there within that number of hours of sleep. And how that actually breaks down in this bidirectional model is association with sleep deprivation and obesity. So as within work or social or physical environment increase, we know that there's insulin sensitivity to regulate insulin from the pancreas. We have leptin levels start going down, ghrelin levels go up. I mean, overall hours of awake time, so then more hours of time to sleep. So we have an increase in caloric needs, caloric intake there. And usually it's very high palatable foods again, so within brain and our palate of increased sugar, salts, and fats. So these are not cravings of broccoli. We have a lower energy expenditure because we're less active. So desire to train, to exercise, to move goes down. So we then, our caloric expenditure is decreased, and then the weight creep starts beginning as we become more weight, become obese. With this increase in fatigue, we have a metabolic change. So our regulation of resting metabolic rate, exercise metabolic rate will actually go down. We actually have activation of inflammation markers. So again, we start seeing the cytokine effect within brain, within our body. So we have joint pain, starts possibility, or increased risk of injury increases as well. And just all the other physical and mental effects of just not getting good sleep. So maybe sleep disorders like sleep apnea all starts to increase with this snowball effect. So we have the consequences. So when this model increases with sleep deficiency, which is the increase in sleep deprivation, where continuous number of days we're not getting good number of hours of sleep required. So we see a laundry list of impacts with our performance, our cognitive and physical performance, concentration, memory, reaction, decision making, hormone production of testosterone goes down, mood swings, and then overall physical health becomes decreased. So what percentage of people can get by with less than 5 hours of sleep per night? And the answer is 0. So with most research, we look at the evidence, and within sleep, it's pretty clear and concise that we need, as humans, a certain many hours of sleep. But the conversation always gears towards that the quality of sleep might be just as important as just getting the number of hours of sleep as well too. So as sleep deprivation begins, and we notice a lot of these physical and mental degradations happen within our body. Just overall projects, work productivity, attention, the mood, interaction socially, all becomes impaired or delayed or lost. And it doesn't take many days for this to happen. So how much sleep does a human need? And the answer is 8. So we're kind of looking at that 7 to 9 hours of hopefully quality of sleep within those hours. On average, Air Force member achieving only roughly 6.5 hours on average. So our sleep recommendations. So, and also our sleep chronotype. So there's been lots of studies within looking at, when is the best time that for an individual to be awake or when to sleep. And you may notice this for yourself. As we strive for young adults into that 7 to 9 hour window there, you can buffer a little bit with 6 hours and even a little bit more between 10, maybe 11 hours of sleep. And then you may notice for yourself, well, I just, do better staying up a little bit later, an early riser. And there's actually animal chronotypes that Dr. Matthew Walker, with our sleep expert, actually identifies here that work better. But it still doesn't mean that these individuals are not getting, less than 6 hours of sleep. You still want to require your sleep. It's just when you actually perform at your best, maybe based on this chronotype. And there's your highlighted hours for most of us there. Of course, as a younger person there, more sleep required and slightly less as an older adult past 65. So on this chart here, you can kind of see the sleep and performance declination measured and ability for the brain performance. So you can see it definitely goes down, and we see this with studies, with testing, when they're actually sleep deprived over time there, and just in making more errors basically in these tests, in these studies. So it doesn't take many days there to fall into the red part of this graph here, below 80% rested. So the less sleep we get, the more days, it's just a worse effect on the body and brain. So how do we know where we're at within what we're achieving in sleep for our active duty airmen? And we look at this PHAQ data that we can get from each squadron from the base there, and it really shows 54% of our airmen are just reporting less than 7 hours of sleep. And there's another group percent that are just not within 2-week periods, not getting less than 5 hours of sleep. 40% of adults report falling asleep during the day without meaning to, at least once a month. Association again with less than 6 hours of sleep with some PTSD. And then sleep is definitely linked into our performance in training for our fitness assessment, affecting readiness, health, resiliency, and of course increasing weight and BMI, injuries, and chronic diseases. So we know the problem, we know the consequences of not getting good sleep, but we have this imbalance where we actually need to sleep. Do we have the opportunity, the sleep hygiene tactics, the environment to sleep, and the ability to actually fall asleep and stay asleep? That's what we're going to look at next. So the sleep math kind of shows the plan. Our goal may be to sleep 8 hours a night. How long will it take us to fall asleep? Maybe an hour, maybe less. We need to wake at a certain time, 0600. But we need to set a bedtime, as you can see on this slide here, at 9 o'clock. So we can actually maybe go to bed earlier. So our opportunity to get those 9 hours of sleep. But our sleep ability in reality was only 6 hours. Maybe we went to bed at 9 o'clock, but then we actually were laying in bed, we were on our phone, watching TV, and then in reality we fell asleep closer towards 11. Maybe we woke up earlier to use the bathroom, check our phone, turn on a light. At 0430, we try to go back to sleep. Maybe we doze off a little. Was a good quality of sleep by 5:30, and the alarm rings at 6 o'clock. So our sleep ability equals 6 hours in reality. Does that sound like most of us? And then workers definitely have more challenges of hours awake during nighttime and then trying to sleep during the daytime. More time in bed would need to be allowed, and more diligent with our sleep hygiene habits to try to achieve those 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Dark glasses be utilized at the hours of sunlight. If we're driving way home, we work the night shift. When we're trying to get home, blocking out as much light as possible. Keeping a consistent sleep schedule is really key. Going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same schedule, even on your days off or weekends. Eliminate noise, light, make it a sleep-inducing environment, utilizing eye masks, earplugs, light-blocking curtains as possible. Avoid caffeinated beverages, right? Heavy meals, so your body has trouble falling asleep because it's digesting your food. The stimulant of caffeine. Caffeine has a half-life of about 4 to 6 hours. So be judicious on utilizing caffeine, beverages, dark chocolate, those, hours, at least 4 hours before time for bed. The chemical in the brain, adenosine, is produced. That's basically our sleep pressure. So when we kind of feel more groggy towards the day, the evening, that's adenosine, and caffeine can block our adenosine. Alcohol can be affected also by our sleep quality. So if we actually have a few drinks before bed, you might get sleepy, but again, you might not be getting good quality of sleep throughout the night. And then certain times of the night when the body's trying to assimilate that alcohol in your system can kind of wake you up too in that early morning hours. We talked earlier about the circadian rhythm and the disruptions we get from jet lag, from different time zones, also from different shifts. So circadian rhythm is basically your body clock controls, again, your wake and sleep time. And it does take a while to make that adjustment. So when changing shifts, more rapidly, may be difficult, again, to keep a consistent sleep schedule. Again, the circadian rhythm affects every cell, tissue, organs, hormones in the body, and how they work internally together. Flying from California to New York could take up to a week to reset that circadian rhythm, and it could take months from a night shift to a day shift work sleep schedule. Sleep cycles are pretty important, and some of us may monitor this, look at this through certain apps like Sleep Cycle, Oura Rings, Whoop bands, to really kind of see, am I getting my great quality stage 4, stage 3 REM type sleep. And you'll see in this graph there, in our early sleep times, we actually will dip into our non-REM or stage 4, 3/4 in 2 to 3 times per night. REM, dream state, is kind of our stage 1 and 2. Know that a lot of our short-term to long-term memories happen in later stages of sleep. This is why it's also easier to kind of wake up during early morning hours or to later into our sleep cycles. Many things can affect our sleep cycles of getting good quality of sleep, and that's what we're looking at here. If it's alcohol, food, stress, light, all these can be impacting our quality of sleep. Here you'll see a sleep quality quiz. And one of the first things we need to ask ourselves is, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning? And I think that's the most impactful part of these questions, and really to see for yourself without even tracking your sleep, is upon wake up, we have what's called sleep inertia, which usually should wear off within 20 to 30 minutes. So if you're still feeling pretty groggy past that, you probably didn't get good quality of sleep. So if you slept your 7 hours, do you still feel tired when you wake up? So yes or no, any one of these questions here. Do you sleep more than 30 minutes to fall asleep when you turn off the lights? Do you sleep less than 7 hours? Do you have trouble getting comfortable when you want to sleep? Do you move frequently to get comfortable to fall asleep? Are you drinking more than 3 caffeinated beverages a day? Do you wake up frequently during your sleep? Do you frequently have a hard time falling back to sleep after you woke up? If you have a bedmate, do they complain of being kicked by you while you are sleeping? Do you walk, talk, or twitch in your sleep? Does your bedmate complain of you moving during your sleep? Do you strike or hit your bedmate during your sleep? And do you fall on your bed during your sleep? Yes to 2 more of those. Maybe some questions for yourself with your provider, looking at some of your sleep hygiene practices. Power breaks and naps can definitely be utilized if need be, if we're not getting our hours and quality of sleep. So prolonged wakefulness or before the beginning of a night shift. Sometimes at lunchtime, you just want to take 20 minutes. That's really what we want to utilize for this nap. That's the most strategically utilization of our nap time. Napping longer than that may put us in different stages of sleep and feel more groggy upon wake up. You might just want to use some sort of meditation, relaxation, listen to music, just close your eyes for those 20 to 30 minute time frame. As indicated earlier, one of the big issues with falling asleep, staying asleep, is going to be some stress response. So we want to look at what can we do to downregulate, to kick on our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digestive system, to help relax, release things from our mind. So here are some techniques that can be utilized if you haven't been trying these already. So journaling, writing a list, getting things out from the mind on paper, deep breathing exercises, maybe incorporate some sort of box breathing, 4x4x4 breaths, or some 4-7-8 breath style increments, which means breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, and then release out slowly for 8 seconds. Breath work is connected again to our brain through our vagus nerve, that actually can really release stress, tension, relax the mind, body, to help downregulate, and less brain stimulation to help us fall asleep. Relaxation exercises such as progressive muscle relaxation, where we actually tense up and then relax slowly, release like a stress ball. Visualization or guided imagery exercises. the beach, hearing the waters, some mindfulness, guided mindfulness, or meditation practices. And we'll talk about that briefly. Mental focusing exercises. There was a game called Tetris that can be utilized. There's actually a study being done to help brain stimulation of Tetris actually help individuals fall asleep faster. So within stress and mindfulness, what we're going to do first is really see identifying factors of what's kind of bothering us within our body's response with stress. So stress can be a good thing for the body, definitely more of an adrenaline rush, fright and flight type response versus a more long-term chronic type stress that can be accumulative, micro-stressed in nature. So the body can handle more of the short term better than this long-term chronic stress. And you'll see in this handout there that there is this stress level of breakdown and burnout at the higher end versus a boredom to inactivity and very little stress. At higher levels of stress, we can actually improve productivity, performance, but it has to be optimal levels, not to pure anxiety, panic, exhaustion. So with any pillar of health, if we're talking about exercise, can be a good and bad stress, depending on context. Nutrition can be a good, bad stress, depending on context. Poor sleep quality, poor sleep quantity is also a stress on the body as well too. So we want to have that equilibrium, homeostasis, balance of stress, and we call this hormesis. The right amount of stress to actually be adaptive and improve resiliency. So we got to think about that in our lifestyle if we're doing activities such as high intense interval training, by having financial or relationship problems. These can be all cumulative stresses on top of each other. Now one by itself is bad, but a cumulative over the long term, it becomes impactful within our physical and mental health. The key is, how do we filter stress? No one is giving us stress, so to speak. We have things outside of our control. We can control how we react to stress, how we filter stress, our thoughts, our behaviors, actions. We cannot control other people's actions, behaviors, attitudes, like the weather. If it rained every day and you like the sun, it would be very stressful over time, the accumulation of days of rainy weather. But our outlook on this, our positivity, making the best of it, having a great stress response toolkit there is how we respond to that, as we cannot control the weather. And one of the key things that we can utilize is mindfulness. And mindfulness is a mental state of awareness, openness, and focusing at the present moment. It's not easy first doing some sort of guided mindfulness practice. It may take time, consistency to do better. And it's not about emptying the mind. It's about acknowledging our thoughts, our emotions, and releasing and letting go without judgment. In a mindfulness skill, we want to make sure we anchor ourselves. We want to focus on our breath, inhaling through our nose, holding that breath, and then releasing out our mouth. Belly breaths through a diaphragm, not stress breaths through our upper chest or shoulders or neck. Release the muscle tension. Use that progressive muscle relaxational technique, making a fist and then letting go. Each muscle in the body, from our hands, arms, legs, and feet. Notice 3 things always: the sounds, the breath, and our thoughts. When we're in a mindfulness activity, if it's within our own thoughts or a guided meditation, we can do formal or informal mindfulness. Informal would be just going for a walk, brushing our teeth, engaging in a hobby, or focusing on what we're doing in the present moment. A more formal practice is going to be alone with your thoughts, closing those eyes, no one's around, and taking 5-10 minutes through a guided mindfulness app practice or within your own thoughts. The key is stay present. All those thoughts, emotions around in the head, waves, embedding, flowing, never hold on to them. Acknowledge them and let go. Add in visualization. Think about that nice, calm, peaceful time in your life that gives you meaning. Right now, we're going to do about a 5-minute mindfulness activity, and it's going to be guided, scripted. What you want to do is be comfortable in the place you're at, listening to this video, sitting in a comfortable position, and close your eyes. Take a couple deep breaths, and here we go. Inhale through your nose, filling up your diaphragm, and exhaling slowly. Notice how the breath flows in and out. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. Push them down and notice the floor beneath you. Notice the tension in your leg muscles as you push your feet down. Now notice 3 things. Think about 3 things you can hear around you. Spend some time listening to those noises. Next, think about 3 things that you can feel in contact with your body. Think about the texture of the object, how soft, how hard it feels beneath you. Now notice the feelings in your entire body. Start at the top of your head and then scan down through the body. Notice which parts of it feels relaxed, comfortable, and at ease, and which feel uncomfortable or restricted in some way. Try to do without analyzing, but more with a sense of just building a picture of how the body feels right now. Notice where you feel the rising and falling sensation of the breath most strongly. Notice how each breath feels, the rhythm of it, whether it's short or long, deep or shallow, rough or smooth. Gently count the breath as you focus on the rising and falling sensation. 1 with the rise, 2 with the fall. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. And release your breath for 4 seconds. Now, let go of any focus at all. Allow the mind to be as busy or still as it is. If you have a lot of thoughts in your mind, this is perfectly normal, and you don't need to do anything to try to change it. Don't try to control your thoughts, just notice them. Give yourself permission to focus on noticing your thoughts and feelings as they occur without judgment. Once you have noticed them, do your best not to engage them, but to simply allow them to move on. You are an objective observer only. Just notice it and let the thoughts move on. If a negative thought comes to you, don't try to push it away or hold on to it. Just see it for what it is. Allow your thoughts and feelings to move like waves, embedding and flowing. Now, having let your mind roam for a while, slowly bring your attention back to the physical sensations in the body. Notice the contact between the body and the chair beneath you, beneath the soles of the feet. Bring your attention back to your breath, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Okay, so how did that feel? When you're listening to the mindfulness exercise, was it challenging for you to listen, to be still, to concentrate on those thoughts, the breath? What did you like about it? When using this skill for yourself, you may not need to follow every step. So keep that in mind. You may just start off with just deep breathing. Move on to your thoughts, emotions. Maybe just start off with journaling about your thoughts. Give yourself a chance to let this work. So a daily mindfulness practice. If it's first thing in the morning, maybe towards the end in your sleep hygiene habits practices. Again, it can be starting off with just 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long period of time. Do some mindfulness eating practices with food at the dinner table. Going for a walk when it's raining. Just some other examples here. Okay, so we're gonna finish up, kind of talk about the sleep hygiene habits. So these are some things that you can incorporate in that hour to sometimes 2 hours or different timing throughout the day to help you get good quality of sleep, quantity of hours of sleep, stay asleep, fall asleep, and again, mitigate light exposure, downregulation of the nervous system, and brain stimulation. And the first one again is avoiding caffeine. Doesn't mean altogether, but again, how you metabolize caffeine. Think about all the items that may have caffeine. Are you using that 3 o'clock energy drink as a crutch? Half-life, again, 4 to 6 hours. From time you want to fall asleep, refrain from caffeine. Alcohol consumption, more than a couple drinks, definitely can impact your quality of sleep. Stimulant from nicotine. Make your bedroom a sleep-inducing environment. Number 2, it should be cave-like, quiet, dark, cool. Cool the room, the cooler the body temperature, the better chance of going into your deep stages of sleep. Individual preference there. My earplugs, blocking out noise, making it as quiet as possible. Others may like a fan, a white noise, air purifier, rain, thunderstorm, blackout, curtains there to making sure again that you shouldn't be able to see your hand in front of your face. Wearing an eye mask. Comfortability is key. Ventilated within the room itself, the mattress you're wearing. Taking that shower, bath before bed can also drop your core body temperature down and get you better sleep. Establish a soothing pre-sleep routine. So what does that consist of? Number one, probably want to incorporate less lights, LED. So overall into your home lights, dimming the lights, less screens, TVs, iPads, tablets, phones. You can wear blue blocking glasses such as TrueDark, Swannies. Relaxational activities such as mindfulness, yoga, some stretching, myofascial work with foam rolling. Take that bath, drop that core body temperature down. Maybe some sleepy time tea, chamomile, valerian root, lavender, essential oils. And just think about your physical, psychological, stressful activities also that will increase cortisol level, your hormone for stress, will spike during the evening hours. So to help downregulate this from the day, playing Call of Duty, watching MMA might not be a great activity to do prior to trying to fall asleep. And if you had a stressful day, do you need to journal? Do a mindfulness activity. Do some breath work. Go to sleep when you're truly tired. Number 4. If you struggle to fall asleep, it just leads to more frustration. Our sleep latency should be at 20 minutes. If you cannot fall asleep, get out of bed. Read a book. Even in a different room than when you actually sleep. We know our bedroom should not have TVs or phones in there. Listen to some music. When you feel tired again, go back to the bedroom and try to fall asleep. Number 5, don't be a nighttime clock watcher. So definitely no lights with or digital clocks. More of an analog clock would be utilized better. But the more you stare at the clock, hey, I haven't fell asleep yet, and it's been past 20 minutes, it's going to make it harder with your own induced anxiety. Turn your clock face away. If you have your phone in your bedroom, flip it upside down, put it on airplane mode, so no notifications will go off, light or sounds. Number 6, use light as your advantage. Again, our internal clock or circadian rhythm is set based upon the sleep-wake cycle beyond the sun rise and fall. Let the light first thing in the morning and get out of the office sunbreak during the day. In our skin, in our eyes, and even in our ears, we have light receptor cells. They initiate the conversion to vitamin D, and they also set melatonin, or hormone for inducing sleep, in our pineal gland, in our brain, in the evening time by getting light in our eyes in the morning. Inversely there, if we get light through our eyes, it blocks our melatonin production at night. So get outside, get some sunshine during the day, reset your clock. Number 7, consistent sleep schedule. The best way to keep your internal circadian rhythm clock set is by trying to go to bed the same time and getting up the same time in the morning. Try not to differ more than 1 hour on maybe your days off. If you work it Monday through Friday and you sleep until noon or stay up to 2 o'clock in the morning, it may take 3 to 4 days, if not longer, to help reset that internal clock. Number 9, lighten up your evening meals. Again, especially high fatty foods, palatable sugar foods can affect our hours of sleep, as those are a high stress food. And your body will try to utilize that food by digestive means, can affect and disrupt your sleep cycles. Balance your fluid intakes. An hour before bed is not a great time to finish off your water needs for the day. Drink enough fluids so that you are not waking up thirsty, but not so much close to bedtime that when you'll be wakened by the need of utilizing the bathroom. Exercise early. When exercise is at a high level of intensity, it's actually higher stress on the body. Exercise can help promote a restful sleep, causing fatigue throughout the day, so making sure we're including enough steps throughout the day, but keep your intensity low at least hour to 2 hours before bedtime, or incorporate yoga, Pilates, some stretching or foam rolling prior to bed. And number 12, the most important, follow through. All these tips can be utilized. See what works for you to get a nice, restful sleep. But keep in mind that one night of incorporating these may not be enough. So give yourself a couple weeks, adding in as much of the tools in your toolkit that you can utilize to help you fall asleep and stay asleep. All right, as we're coming towards the end, I want to show this slide for what are some habits that you can add in today. So we have some nutrition habits, maybe there's some sleep habits. Is there a stress management tool that you can utilize in your toolkit, a sleep hygiene practice? So think about 1 or 2 of these habits that you can incorporate in until the next class series. And reframe this into the SMART acronym here. When I get 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep, I will perform better, feel better, because it provides me with energy, refreshing, less stress, all the benefits, the return investment I get to be intrinsically motivated to keep going. So write a goal. What's your goal for next week? What healthy lifestyle goal can you incorporate in? And make sure you have a great plan to make it successful. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you later.